My name is Gabor Hirsch, and currently I am working in a multinational company, Thales. But formerly I worked so many other things, and I work as a DPO connected to the general protection regulation in Hungary, and I was a DPO of a huge organization, more than 2,000 people, a governmental institute. And we faced a lot of technical challenges, and hopefully, not hopefully, luckily right now I'm working in a company which has an annual report regarding threat landscape and data protection. And with this data I can present in a real life that those problems that I faced when I was in DPO, it's not a single problem of myself, it is some kind of general problem, and everybody has more or less the same issues during the DPO work. So, as I said, we have an annual report regarding data threats, and there it contains a lot of data because we asked a lot of people around the world because Thales is a huge company, it's more than 80,000 people, and fortunately or unfortunately we're just not focusing on IT and data security, but we have so many other departments in the company. But this report can reach all necessary end users, and they answer very pragmatic things for our questions. So the first thing that everybody is talking about is digital transformation. First, only just a few people know what does it mean, because digital transformation means a lot of other things for the people. So somebody said that, okay, it is the cloud. Cloud itself, not a real digital transformation, it's just a tool or something like that. Somebody said, oh, it's a mobile payment, IoT, or anything else. So I think digital transformation, all these things together. So if we are using the advantage of the digital technology, that's the digital transformation, but the normal services, what we are using in normal life, can be, let's say, virtualized and adapting it to some kind of digital procedure. Yes, that can be the digital transformation. But during this procedure, as the normal life, we are using a lot of data, of course. And because the most sensitive procedures that we are transforming from normal on-premise or physical to digital, I think the most sensitive data are in usage during this digital transformation. And according to the answers, it's true. The answer said that yes, close to 100% of the companies who are making these kind of digital transformations are managing their most sensitive data during the digital transformation. The next question was very interesting again. That do they see that it is safe? I mean the digital transformation. So it is enough safe and enough secure. Or it's interesting because somebody said, of course. In Hungary, we have a nice story called Patopál. It's Mr. Patopál. And it is a story when the gentleman said, okay, never mind, we are okay, later. I felt the same during this digital transformation, that everybody said that right now it's okay. Yes, we need something in advance, we need something above that, but later, right now it's okay. So everybody believe, or most of the people believe, that their digital procedures are enough safe. The interesting thing that they are using their data without encryption is 1/3. So how do they think that their sensitive data are safe without any encryption or something like that? Just because they are storing somewhere in a server or somewhere in the cloud, and nobody knows where these data are, this is the protection level or something like that. No, it's not enough. And of course, it's true that everybody is on target. So, according to the answer, most of the people are like breach ever, or breach, but they do not know about it. That's the most important thing. That those people who did not answer that they are already breached, they didn't know that they breached, because they don't have an environment to detect that they have already breached. For me, it's another interesting information that 40% of the companies has no environment to detect that they are under attack, because they cannot think that they are under attack. Of course, we asked them what type of incidents they realized. Those people who already detect that they are. And very interesting that most of these people, most of these companies are reporting that the phishing and ransomware incidents are the most common. And practically all these attacks are focusing on the data to steal or destroy or somehow catch your data. And most of the incidents are these kind of attacks. And the other two things, that most of the breaches based on some kind of identity theft. So the attacker can get some identities, some digital identities. So it is another interesting thing. So when I was a child, my mother said that, for example, your ID is very important. You know, it is a physical thing, and you have to take care of those IDs and so on. You need to take you to, for example, to school or something else, and you have to get the services based on this ID, which is a physical thing. But most of the people do not realize that their digital IDs or digital identities are most important right now than their physical, for example, national IDs or something like that, because an attacker or anybody just get their IDs, digital identities, can destroy or can hurt them much more than, for example, the physical IDs. And it's true because most of the incidents based on this identity theft. So in this case, one of the key in the companies is that they have to create some kind of identity system, identity management system, or digital identity protection, how they manage it. And the other thing, of course, we have to protect somehow our data, because most of the incidents are focusing to our data. And of course the cloud. Right now we cannot manage only on-premise systems in our companies. Somehow we have to involve the cloud. So practically most of the companies are operating some kind of hybrid system, something in on-premise, but something in cloud. Another interesting thing that most of the companies or most of the IT managers do not realize that they are using the cloud more intensively than they are thinking, because they do not think that, okay, for example, when I have an iPhone and I have just an archiving or something in iCloud, yes, it is a cloud. Okay. If I have a Google account and an Android phone, I'm using a cloud. If I just want to transfer a big file on a Dropbox or a WeTransfer or something, we are using a cloud, and so on and so on. So practically we cannot avoid to using cloud. But the other thing that we are using cloud some kind of, how can I say, lightly, so uncontrolled way. Because, as I said, somebody do not know that they are using cloud, or if they are know that we are using cloud, there is no regulations how they should use the cloud. So, for example, in Hungary, the authority provide some kind of advice regarding the cloud usage of the financial institute just a few years ago, 2 years or something like that. Before that, there were no any advice, no any regulation, nothing. How the Hungarian financial institute should use the cloud in the operational environment. So practically, one side, if they want to start it because of the technology driven and so on and so on, they start somehow, but when they got an audit, they have to say that, okay, but guys, you didn't tell us how I should use it. So practically, the regulations are a little bit backward. Right now, it's try to find it, try to reach it, the technology level, but it's still some backward. But we are using a lot of multi-cloud environment, and practically the sensitive data, or sensitive data which are on focus on the attacks, are more or less in this multi-cloud environment, without any control or just less control that we have. So right now, that's the situation with the companies. And when a DPO realized that, oh God, that we have so many applications, we have so many cloud environment that we are using. Our sensitive data, not personal data, but in general, our sensitive data are somewhere here or somewhere there, but more or less I do not know where. And they have to build some kind of control system on that. Practically they kill themselves. So it's impossible. So the drivers right now, how they the professional people wants the approach to build some kind of control system are these. So practically we have a lot of data, we have a lot of compliance requirements, not just GDPR, but for example the financial institute, PCI DSS, and the other things, and HIPAAs, SOX, a lot of compliance that we have to fulfill. And some national specialties as well, of course. The operational tasks are more higher and higher. We have very, very complex system. We have multi-cloud environment. We have a lot of engines, and somehow the managers has to find the way how they should solve this chaos. The complexity, so practically in the past we are thinking about shields. So we are cloud storage and I have to protect this. Okay, this is our server environment, I have to protect this. Okay, I have a perimeter, somehow I have to protect the perimeter. Okay, I have a data center, okay, let's go to perimeter. We have to, practically we are thinking solid shield. It's not working anytime. We have to thinking some kind of umbrella systems which can protect all the aspects of the company. Okay, sorry. Another thing which I mentioned, that we have to know where our data, because we can protect only those data where we know where it's stored or where we manage this data. And based on all these drivers and environment, there is a very, let's say, this is my just suggestion, a very pragmatic three-step approach how we can build up control system, and practically most of the problems, most of the issues can be solved based on this very simple approach. So the first, we have to start with the CI model. So everything is based on the CI model. You know, the confidentiality, availability, integrity, but the more important part of the CI triangle, the three different technological control environment, because most of the cases we can choose which kind of control do we deploy, physical, technical or administrative, because it can be possible that only one issue can be solved all these controls or one of these controls. So can be possible that only an administrative control is enough, or can be possible that we have to be more advanced with some technical or physical control. How we can decide? Of course, it's very simple. It's a risk analysis, as usual, and it's valid for the data, information, and anything. It's a normal way that we have some kind of risk analysis, as then we can decide that what kind of control do we deploy, how we decide. So it's based on how we can resistance of the risk. So for example, if the penalty is not enough big, like for example in the GDPR, which is the possible penalty very high, the management can be said that, okay, so for example, it's a 20% risk is not enough big, so we just write some administrative control, yes, you know, some policies, and that's enough. So, but the threat, I mean the penalty, is enough high. Management wants to decrease this kind of risk, and of course the possible losses. And in this case, technical and the physical controls are more and more often. So, only 3 steps. First, we have to know where are our data. It's mandatory. Not a simple joke, but if we want to build up some kind of data protection environment, or we just want to deploy any data protection tool, could it be data loss prevention or identity management system or encryption or any, we have to know where our data, because we can control and we can protect only those data where we know. It's very simple. It sounds very simple, but sometimes when I met some customers and when I joined this government institute, that was my first question to the ITs. Okay, guys, where are our personal data? And guys, okay, how would you like to protect it? Or not just protect, but based on the GDPR, you have only 30 days if somebody asks the question, what kind of personal data do you control or do you store from myself? We have to answer within 30 days. How long do you want to answer to this question? And they said, okay, I will ask Yoshi is a good IT guy, and he will look on the systems and come on, so to know where the data are and classify these data is it's a basement in every control system, every control environment. Because if we discover the data, we classify that it is personal, it is, for example, business sensitive information, or it is a bank secret, or anyhow, then we can make some kind of risk analysis that which threat focusing on this data and how we can build our systems, the security control systems based on this analysis. The second, to build some kind of encryption level, and not for the stored data, because as I said, most of the threats are focusing on the data. But for example, a ransomware cannot execute themselves for encrypted data. How? A phishing attack cannot get my data. Okay, can, but it's encrypted. Yes.
Is it the right order first the data encryption and then access control, or should be maybe the first in this order access control and then encryption? I know that usually it's access control then and data encryption. That's why I'm asking what are the benefits?
Yes. So both can be possible, or parallel with it can be also possible. But access control is also very important. It's mandatory. So we have to set up, because just thinking, if you want to build up IDM system, identity management system, first is the preparation phase. this is the data discovery classification. I saw a lot, really, a lot of failed projects just because they want to miss this kind of, this preparation phase. Because it can be possible that in a data security project, the preparation phase is 80% of the full project. And honestly, some kind of managers wants to miss it because they do not want to wait most of the time of the project just for some kind of report that, okay, these are the data, blah, blah, blah. They want to get some kind of quick results. And without the preparation, they just crash the tool or the DRP system or something like that. And finally, the project will fail because definitely guarantee that something missing if we do not discover and classify the data correctly. Second is the access control. So we have to manage somehow the access and the identities. It's another interesting research data that the data loss incidence more or less based on the laptop losses or the laptop theft or something like that. So most of the people just left on their laptop on the airport or something like that. Of course, we have right now it's a little bit different because of the COVID system, pandemic. But before the pandemic, the laptop theft and laptop losses was extremely high because of a lot of mobile people. So in this case, the data encryption for these mobile devices and the access control, it's mandatory. Because, okay, I lost it, but okay, I lost only the cost of the hardware or something like that, and that's all. There's also a funny story. A few years ago in Hungary, there was a news headline that in the Margit Bridge, under the Margit Bridge, there is a parking space, and the Passat breached, and a laptop theft from this auto, from this car, and it's a normal thing. The problem was that it was the state secretary of the government who was responsible of POKS. You know, POKS is it's a top secret project of the Hungarian government. It's atom nuclear power environment. And practically the planning documents was stored on this laptop that theft from this car. And everybody asked, okay, but any encryption? I think we had it, guys. How?
Yes, we didn't have it.
And the third is some kind of centralization of the management. Back to the other drivers, if you remember the shields, we cannot think about shields. We need some kind of umbrella control system. Key management on anything regular, which is go through all these shields or all these aspects of this series. There are a lot of common use cases, as I said. data discovery, multi-key management, everything else. But let me highlight something. One is important, which influence our current decision, is a chance to decision, which is connected to the GDPR. A few months ago, the European Court declared that the privacy shield or what was the former name, not privacy shield, but safe harbor, which is an agreement between European Union and US government based on the data privacy, was no longer lawful. So it's gone. It means that every cloud provider, every US cloud provider, most of the cloud providers are US companies, every US cloud provider, even that their data center in European Union or in US, doesn't matter, have to fulfill the GDPR and any other regulations, and the data controllers and processors has to guarantee it or has to enforce it through the standard contractual causes or some kind of technical way. So no any other regulation. If we are using any cloud provider, we have to enforce it, that our data are the same security level, same protection level, then we have to do it in the European Union. Can you tell me, so right now, any US cloud provider can fulfill this requirement themselves? Yes, of course, they have some nice administrative words or something like that, but it is a bullshit, so it's the same. So practically, as the model said, any cloud environment with identities and data are our responsibility and not theirs. So we must ensure some kind of control to be on the right level of the security. And for example, these are the steps. So the last is that public cloud environment, the full control of the provider, so practically they give the encryption and they own the keys. That's the normal way. If you ask Microsoft or if you ask Google, they said, don't worry, we have encryption, we have data stamps, everything, so you will be protected. So in this case, you own the encryption, you own the keys. What guarantee that you do not look into my data or NSA or somebody else, because it's their contractual process that they have to keep the data they are storing less. So a little bit better that the bring your own keys model, a little bit more better that they hold your own keys, that practically we hold the keys. And the best option is that we have the encryption and we own the keys. So for example, Microsoft can give some kind of double encryption or something like that. So right now, a lot of providers give some kind of option for this environment. But we have to do it because our provider original data are in the cloud. Another conflict point, typical. Segregation of duties. So I do not want to blame anybody, and this is why I do not ask that. So your companies have been segregated the administration task of the infrastructure and the administration task of the applications of the data, because normally it has to. So in the date, for example, the database administrator shouldn't look into the data. So it's not their responsibility. It can be stored in database, and it should be encrypted, because the administrator do not need to see the data itself to ensure and the other thing that we need to differentiate are digital identities, and we have to manage it. So can it be possible that some digital identities has to use a simple, for example, access, but can it be possible that for another system we should use another type of the access of the object? And we need some kind of complex system where we can manage our digital identities, because this is on the target. So practically, as the normal security system, we said that it is a life cycle, so it's not a static thing. The data security is also not a static thing. So practically it's a life cycle management as well, where we discover our data, classify, protect, monitor, and then respond again. And we have to deploy this kind of system. And that's it. Thank you. I hope that I'm not late. So if you have any question, feel free to ask.